Hey everyone, Scott Cunningham, aka Scott's Business. Today we're going to be talking about how I save a great deal of my money. I was going to say 65% plus and make the series that name, but I mean, if for some reason one month I only save 60% or whatever it happens to be, I figured I would go with like how I save more than half my income as the series name. I'm not actually sure. I mean, feel free to comment what you think sounds the best, but probably just going to go with how I save more than half of my income. And this is just going to be a series where I'll sort of every now and then, like I'll do like motivational or perspective kind of things. And then I'll do tips and like practical things that you can actually do that I do. I've been writing out and sharing a ton of tips and stuff, and I've sort of slacked on that lately, but I'll continue doing that more. And then in these videos, I want to kind of break them down and really dissect what I mean, because obviously I can't share all this information in just one tweet. So I'd like to dive in and talk about practical things that you can actually do and talk about what I do. So, I mean, obviously we're not going to cover everything today because I want this to be a series. So I'm going to try to keep this around 15 minutes or so, hopefully. You guys let me know what you think of this format and how I'm presenting this and stuff, and let me know if there's anything that you'd like to see done differently or whatever it happens to be, because I'm doing this stuff for you. And yeah, so let's just jump right into it. So the first tip that I have is about extending the value of things. And a lot of these are going to be in a specific example context, but I want to explain them in a more general context. So the first one was regular people who get bored of something like a video game, they go and they buy a new one once they've gotten bored. But people who want to extend the value out of the things that they use, like myself, might mod the game. So a lot of gamers who are like a lot more serious and they want to really dive into everything that the game offers, including the communities that are behind the games and creating mods and all this different stuff. You can mod your game and completely change the game and make it completely different, a completely different playthrough in order to get a lot more value out of that game. Because you shouldn't just be spending all your money every week or two buying a new game, beating that game, buying a new game, beating that game. You should buy something that is a little more, gives you a little more value. It lasts a lot longer. There's also tons of free games. There's a lot of stuff out there. So the main point takeaway for this one is trying to extend the value of things. And again, it is in the context of video games, but it really could be applied to a lot of different things. The second one I had was learning to cut your own hair. So I don't know if you guys notice, but I cut my own hair. It's not, perfect, but, it's all you really need. I mean, you get better after a while. I mean, originally it was pretty horrendous, but it saves me a ridiculous amount of money. I'm going to generously low estimate about $40 to $50 every like month or two. And most people I know are getting their hair cut at least once a month. Whereas myself, I would go every like 1.5 every 2 months. And that also includes Uber and tip and all that stuff. So between $40 to $50 when you include all of that. So by not going, I'm saving effectively like $200, $300 a year. And then that just gets invested. So you can save a ridiculous amount of money by learning to cut your own hair. And not only that, if you can manage to do that for many, many, many years, all of that money being invested into something like stocks or whatever, after like 50 to 60 years of doing this, if you're actually investing that money, you will have a ridiculous amount of wealth over the course of your life from one simple activity. And I think it's really powerful to envision, what your finances would be like if you changed one simple thing, like cutting your hair. Could dramatically change your life and pay for your entire rent expense when you're retired. That is very impactful. All you have to do is cut your own hair and you might be able to afford your own retirement. It sounds kind of far-fetched, but if you actually price it out and take into account compounding interest, appreciation, I mean, we're just using stocks as the example here, but it is pretty insane what you can actually amount to with, a small amount of money. I can't remember what the stat was, but they said if you put away $100 every month for your whole life, you'll end up with something like $1 million. So by saving, $250, $300 a year, again, this is a generously low estimate because I know most people are spending upwards of like $500 plus, and they're going and getting their beard done too and all this other stuff. So they're probably ending up spending close to $1,000 plus I have a lot of friends who are, trying to really run the single scene. So they're getting haircuts like every 2 weeks. It adds up. There's an amazing amount of things that you could do with that money instead, right? So let's move to the next tip because I could go on and on about what you could do with your money. Tip 3 is watering down beverages. So I water down milk and orange juice. Basically any juice that I would water down. The only times I wouldn't water something down is like beer or alcohol or like coffee, for example. I would never water any of those down, but things that you could water down that you probably wouldn't even notice after a while is what I do. So originally people might think that sounds like really weird to like water down milk or to water down like orange juice, but milk and orange juice are some of the most expensive like food items that I buy. So watering them down absolutely saves me a ridiculous amount of money. And unfortunately for me, I'm lactose intolerant. So I have to buy lactose free milk, which is like the most expensive milk you could possibly buy. So thus I cut it all in half with water so that I'm spending less money. It's like I'm buying regular milk at that point, or at least I'm spending the same as anyone else would be. So that is one way that I kind of get around spending way more money than I need to. Plus, you're cutting down how much sugar you're intaking all at one time. I mean, obviously you're still going to consume the same amount of sugar, but spreading it out over a longer period of time is definitely better, easier for your body to deal with than all at once, of course. Selling your car or just, not having a car to begin with, this is going to be so challenging and so many people are going to fight me on this and already have fought me on this. But the truth is that one of your biggest expenses is going to be transportation. And if you can cut down on using your car and become like an occasional driver at the very least, or just, like I said, getting rid of your car, not buying a car to begin with, you will save copious amounts of money. And there's actually so many different ways that you can get around the things that you might have otherwise needed in different ways. So for example, I need a car to get a haircut. Well, we already talked about that. You can now cut your own hair. I need a car to get groceries. Well, there's actually really cheap delivery services. Like for me, Instacart, amazing service. You could pay $9.99 a month and get free delivery and like almost all the fees waived. And they charge you basically what it costs to just get it at the store. Plus you save all of the time of actually getting the food. Thus, if you're actually good at using your time, you might be able to make more money in that time saved. So there's a lot of benefit to something like that. I get my beer delivered. I get almost everything delivered. And the cost is negligible. Right? People are like, yeah, but I'm saving money on delivery fees. It's like, I get beer ordered, like delivered like once a month for a few dollars. How much are you saving by driving there? You're spending gas, you're spending all this time. And then obviously insurance, the car itself, crazy amounts of money. This whole year, I've probably spent I could get the exact number, but I've spent something around like $250 on Uber for the full year. Delivery fees and such, maybe like another like $20 to $50. It's barely anything. People make it seem like it's so important to have a car. The only ways or the only real excuses that I would accept is if you have like kids and you have a family to take care of, or it's required for your job, or you have a very long commute. I would still say you could move closer. You could find a new job. There's a lot of different things. Because originally people said, that's impossible. No one could live without a car. I said, watch, I'll do it. It's not going to be that hard. And I just made it work. Bus, Uber. And then eventually I got myself to the point where I was like, okay, I will live closer to where I'm working. And then it was to the point where I was like, you know what, I'll find a way to work from home. Started my freelance business like 7 or 8 years ago, and I've been doing that ever since. Anyone can do this. Most people just aren't willing to A, sacrifice to achieve what they want, and B, they're not willing to take a step back in terms of like comfort and like luxury and all the great things that they have. They're not willing to go back and lose that kind of stuff. Because I was able to drive my parents' car when I was younger and in high school, and when I had a job at McDonald's and stuff when I lived back in my hometown. But eventually, you got to get your own car, you move out, all that stuff. But I didn't want to buy a car until Tesla came out with a car, or some company came out with a car that didn't even have a steering wheel, so that I could I could get the car and then I could rent it out or like Uber it out throughout the day, and I wouldn't even have to be there. And then when I needed it, I could call it to come and pick me up, because that's the future, right? No steering wheel, nothing. You don't even have to be in the car. Automated Uber, and then it's also driving me around. So then it would become an asset, not a liability, because it would be generating an income stream plus giving me a valuable asset that's paying for itself. Otherwise, I wouldn't buy a car, because another tip is don't buy liabilities. Don't buy things that cost money or take away money from you. Invest your money in assets that appreciate value or generate income. It seems pretty obvious that you should do this, but most people prefer the luxuries and the comfort of those things that they buy, like having a car. And again, all these tips, I'm not saying that anyone can do this or that you should. This is just what I'm doing. And if you can, you should probably take advantage of these tips to improve your own financial situation. Otherwise, there's really no reason why you'd be watching this, unless you're just curious. But if you're watching this to then get upset that I'm suggesting something that you're not willing to do or that you feel that you can't do, that is not productive, right? There's going to be something in this that you can take away and actually apply, unless you're really going out of your way to spend as much money as possible. Most people suffer from lifestyle inflation, meaning that they will buy more things and increase how much their lifestyle is going to cost them as they earn more money. What someone who is very frugal, like myself, does is actually the opposite. As I've made more money, and in the past year, I've made dramatically more money. So last year, I was in the lowest tax bracket. So again, people coming into this saying, oh, this guy has a bunch of money. Of course, he can save a bunch. No, I was in the lowest taxed bracket last year for my tax. I don't think I'll be in the lowest tax bracket in this next tax year, but I'm still going to be in like the second lowest. But I'm still pretty close to what the average person is getting, or on the low end. So I'm just finding a way to save all of it and invest all of it. So I think anyone else can do the same, because people shouldn't be coming up with excuses. Again, I know if you have a family, if you have all this different stuff going on, that's going to be more challenging. But if someone just says, oh, like I have a girlfriend or I have a spouse, you have two incomes then, is what you're telling me. So it should actually be even easier, not more challenging, unless you guys eat out all the time and you just live a crazy inflated lifestyle. Last tip here, don't shop according to your appetite. Shop according to what's in season for discounts. So this is typically for like grocery shopping, but this could be anything. But for grocery shopping, you're buying stuff that's in season, that's on sale. You're not like, oh, I feel like lobster today, so let's get the most expensive thing there. No, you shop according to what is cheap. It's not like it's that big of a detriment to your life. You can definitely find all the things that you like, but the cheapest form. You can buy selection brand. You can buy them when they're on sale. You don't have to always have the best thing or exactly what you're, feeling like having now. Maybe you get one thing that you're craving and the rest is like your set plan of stuff. We mostly eat the same thing here. Like we have a small range of things that we get and we change based on when they're on sale. But a lot of times we where I live with my roommates, we'll just like prepare meals or, cook a meal and then eat the leftovers the next day. We almost never eat out because it's a huge waste of money, and then we just budget and we grocery shop maybe once every week or two. Then we have a bunch of like frozen vegetables and all that stuff. So we don't grocery shop very often, and if we're not, then we can just deliver it in. Like I said before, it's not super expensive, especially if you get like the special, $99 or $9.99 a month subscription thing, which is pretty cheap considering it'll end up saving you basically $7 to $8 per order anyway. But that's just one example. There's there's a bunch of different other apps and projects and services that do the exact same thing. So with that being said, I think I'll end it there with those 5-6 tips. And I'll kind of work through them as the series goes down, and I'll keep sharing more too and kind of elaborating on the different things that I've been talking about. But I want to just kind of work through these and explain why I think they're important and just, give a lot more context to people who are curious and share all the different ways that I'm practically saving money. And then I'm investing that and able to hopefully retire in the next 10 years. So you guys can follow along with that journey and how I'm making that possible and sharing it with you. Also, leave any tips that you have in the comments below. I would love to hear them as well. Always looking for ways to save and, improve my finances. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching, and until next time. Thanks so much for watching this video to the very end. Since you did, it'd be awesome if you could give this video a like and comment #1ham in the comments below. Also, it'd be awesome if you could subscribe to this channel and follow me anywhere under @ScottCBusiness, because I'm basically on every platform. You can find all the platforms that I am mainly using though at www.scottcbusiness.com. You can also find all my social links as well as my crypto addresses if you'd like to donate to me on Cointree at cointr.ee/ScottCBusiness. And you can also donate directly by donating to scottcbusiness.crypto or scottcbusiness.eth with supporting wallets. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I really, really appreciate your support. I'm Scott Cunningham, aka Scott C Business, signing off. Cheers.